Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I haven't uploaded in like 3 or 4 weeks maybe by the time this goes up. Basically, I've had so many exams. I say this in every single video I swear, but exams are just ruining my life. I'm gonna try and get loads of videos up in this Easter holidays, and then also I will have so many up in the summer. Sounds like my grandma's outside. There's a group of old people like trying to sort out a car or something. It sounds like my grandma. My conspiracy theories video proved to be very popular amongst you all, and I'm glad that everybody enjoyed it. I loved filming it, like I absolutely loved it. It was a really nice change from the makeup and beauty stuff that I usually do. So today I thought I would come back with another one, and this one is this video is going to be all about different cults. Some people get really offended by this. Obviously cults also have to do with religion sometimes, so if you don't like that or this stuff upsets you or scares you, by all means click off the video. I don't want to offend anyone. Obviously this is not what this video is trying to be, but if you're like me and this stuff really interests you and fascinates you, then carry on watching. I just zoomed you in, hope you're okay with that, but it was like I was having trouble focusing, so now the first cult is the Chicago Rippers, but they were also known as the Chicago Crew, and they weren't sort of the traditional cult style in that they didn't try to actually recruit members. The leader of this group was someone called Robin Gett. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'll put his name on the screen here. The Rippers operated in Chicago in 1981 and 1982, and during that time they killed, gang raped, abducted 18 women. Now the 4 men that were in this cult were part of a satanic group. Now this is really quite disturbing, but they'd actually cut off the left breast of each of their victims and bring it up to the altar as sort of a sacrifice and an offering to their god, who supposedly is Satan. Then even worse, each of them would take a bite of that severed flesh. The other men in the cult believed and told other people that Robert Gett, once again, don't know his name, had some sort of a force over them, like he could control them, make them do whatever he wanted to, this sort of supernatural power. Like Gett could get them to do anything he wanted them to. Eventually, all 4 of them were caught, 1 was executed, the other had his death sentence commuted to life, and the other 2 were given life sentences. One of those other 2 including Gett. Oh my god, literally filming these videos when I'm home alone is like the worst idea ever, because I'm just terrified. This next cult is called the Carney Cult, and what's weirdest about this was it started up by a 15-year-old. Mark Goodwin created his own satanic cult called Satan's Disciples. In this cult, he'd partake in animal sacrifice and sex rituals. Eventually, Goodwin moved out of this sort of satanic phase, and then he met someone called Keith Lawrence. Now, Keith Lawrence also had an interest in Satanism and unfortunately brought Mark back into it. The 2 drew up a contract with the devil, signed in blood. All 4 men worked together with a travelling carnival, and in 1991, another carny, William Alt, wanted to join their cult, but the cult rejected him. So Alt tried to blackmail his way into the group by threatening to tell other people and threatening to tell the police about another murder that Pennick and Keith had committed earlier in the year. Then the other men drove in, so they took Alt out to a secluded area and lay him across the table. They tied him up, gagged him with a cloth, and Pennick said a prayer to Satan. They then carved crosses into Alt's flesh and asked him if he was ready to be killed. They then proceeded to slit his throat, cut off his head, both his hands, and just toss it in a field next to them. Eventually all men pled guilty, and they are now serving their sentences in prison. Oh my god, that one, like, the idea, why would you want to be in that? Like, he fought so hard to be in that cult. You've got your whole life ahead of you and you want to have your hands and your head cut off just to try and join some people. Sorry if the angles changed a bit as well as the lighting. My camera just ran out of charge, so I had to charge it. Literally everything is going wrong today with filming. It's like the universe just doesn't want me to upload. The next cult we're going to be talking about is the Matamoros Sacrificial Cult. In March 1989, a student called Mark Kilroy went missing whilst he was on holiday during this sort of spring half term. He was staying on the South Padre Island, however on the night he went missing he was venturing from there to the border of Mexico. But Mark vanished. His friends and family hoped that he would turn up, you know, everything that would be okay. Maybe he got too drunk, maybe he went back to his hotel room, but 4 weeks passed and nobody heard anything from Mark. Now, during the search for Mark, police also found a drug dealer, so they went over to his farmhouse to go and investigate it, hoping that they'd just find all the drugs and arrest him and whatever, blah blah blah. But they found a big shed in the back full of cauldrons. The police found large cauldrons in a barn behind the back of this drug dealer's house, and inside one of the cauldrons was Mark. Now, these drug dealers believed that via human sacrifice, if they ate the flesh of the people they'd abducted and boiled in these huge cauldrons, that they would be both invincible and invisible to the police. But Mark wasn't the only one. They also found lots and lots and lots of other bodies, and this little weird satanic religious cult had been doing this to lots of people. Now, obviously, I feel stupid for even having to state it. Their beliefs weren't true because they weren't invisible to the police because they were caught by them. But even when they were taken to prison and they were taken to court, one of the members of the cult said, "Shoot me, your bullets will bounce right off." At that point, to be honest, I think I was just been like, boom, boom. I think it's mad how you can get so involved and so wrapped up in these sort of things, because, you know, as you read them you think, oh my god, like, that's so stupid, why would you think that? But at the same time, you've got to remember, these are humans just like us. Yes, their brains aren't as, you know, healthy and functioning as ours, but they're people. I think when you're in this sort of stuff and you're that brainwashed, it's important to be aware of it, and it's important to look out for signs of cults, because there are so many going on, and so many that police and we don't know about. Your neighbour could be part of a cult and you wouldn't even know. The next cult is actually one of my favourites. Well, not one of my favourites as in I'd want to be in it, but just one of my favourites because it's just like so dark and twisted and weird, and I don't know, it just blows my mind still. This is Heaven's Gate. This one's quite popularly known amongst people, but I'm gonna say it anyway because it's one of my favourites. Heaven's Gate was an American UFO religious group based in San Diego, California, founded in 1974 and led by Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles. Bonnie Nettles, that's a cute name. The cult was led by someone called Marshall Applewhite, and he believed that the Earth was going to be destroyed and the only way to survive was to jump on a spaceship that was travelling behind the Hale-Bopp comet. And in order to board this spaceship, you would have to kill yourself, because it's your spirit that would get on the spaceship. In a rented mansion just outside San Diego, police found all 39 dead bodies of the cult members. Applewhite was among them. They all had an overdose of phenobarbital, I think it was called, which is basically just a drug that will kill you if overdosed. That was really self-explanatory. But what's even scarier is that they all had plastic bags tied around their heads just in case that didn't work, so they would really slowly suffocate to death. Every single cult member wore identical suits and identical Nike trainers. They had purple ceremonial cloths and all matching wristbands that read Heaven's Gate Away Team. This breaks my heart because the guy who sort of led it, he had a heart attack, and he said he had a near-death encounter, which is what brought him to believe that God was so real and that God could save anyone. So obviously he was a bit psychologically messed up, but the fact that you bring 39 other people into your psychological mess, it's so sad, and their families must have been so distraught. Even just looking at him, it's like, what makes you want to trust this man with your life? This next cult is called the Superior Universal Alignment, and it is so freaking weird. I mean, they're all weird, but this one is like especially so. Valentina de Andrade, a woman in her mid-70s, was the leader of a Superior Universal Alignment in Brazil. In 1989, young boys were going missing in the small town of Altamira. It is estimated that 19 boys disappeared, but only 6 bodies were ever found. 5 boys escaped, however each one had been castrated and seriously tortured. It wasn't until 2003 that charges were finally brought against DeAndre and several other members of her cult. 4 men were eventually convicted, but DeAndre was acquitted of all charges. Now, the weird thing about this cult is that they argued that all children born after 1981 were evil and needed to be killed. Why? And obviously, as I said before, the boys who managed to escape, they'd been castrated. That's because the sex organs from these children were used in voodoo rituals and ceremonies. I know I've already said this during this video, but honestly, being aware of this sort of stuff is so important. I know you think it would never happen to you, but like, you hear of stories. There was this one on Shane Dawson's video, and like, they went to a party and it was like a cult's party and they didn't even know, and they ended up being killed because they didn't want to be a part of it. Friends are getting into it. If you think you're being dragged into it, family members, neighbours, anyone you know, any sort of suspicious activity, don't go near it. And if you are dragged into it, call the police as soon as you can. Sounds mad, I know I keep saying it sounds mad, but this stuff happens. This is proof it happens. But yeah, I really hope you guys all enjoyed the video. I absolutely love filming this one. It was so much fun. If you did like it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you'd like to see more of me. I have all my social media links, like my Twitter, my Instagram. It's all down below if you'd like to go and check it out. And yeah, I will see you all in my next video. Bye!